Welcome to Talking Halos. Derek Ciapola, the host, my partners in crime, Jared Timms and Nate Green. It is our January 8th edition of the show. We have some stuff to talk with you guys about. First things first, Jared, how you doing?
Not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. Baseball season's right around the corner. I think we got 50 something days until pitchers and catchers report. So baseball's right around the corner.
Just want to say for the record, fantasy baseball opens in the next week. hmm If you're still playing in our leagues or want to join, let us know. Okay, Nate, go.
Yeah, we're just over a month away from pitchers and catchers reporting, so it's exciting. Yeah, just got back from a trip and excited to get going again.
And there's still some players out there, some late signees, which we're going to talk about today. Our question today, guys, are the Angels are we okay with the Angels signing someone who has a qualifying offer? I'm gonna go with Nate first 'cause I can't wait to hear this.
Um, Qualifying offers have already been given out. They're given out the first 10 days, just for those who are wondering. Um, it is
Wait, can you
basically
clarify what is it?
that's what I was, yes.
Okay.
It was basically a 1 year, $21 million offer, and the player has an option to accept it or decline it. If he declines it, he becomes a regular free agent just like everyone else. But the team who signs him loses a second round pick, or a third round pick, depending on how many qualifying offers they sign. So like the first one you sign, you lose your second round pick. If you sign a second one, you lose your third round pick. And I don't think anyone's ever signed three to lose their second, third, and fourth, but that is, something you can lose as well, depending on where you're at. So qualifying offer, that's where we're at. There's four guys left with qualifying offers. Anthony Santander, Alex Bregman, Pete Alonso, and Nick Pivetta. I would be okay with two guys. I think two guys make a big difference for the Angels. I don't think they make sense for the Angels, but I would be okay with the Angels signing them because they make the Angels better. Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso would be the two guys where it's like, hey, they are good enough to make the Angels better. I don't think it makes sense. I know I said that last time that it doesn't make sense because of, especially Pete Alonso, because you just drafted a first baseman and things like that. But I would be okay with it just because he is good enough, and I think that he is young enough. He's only going to get my guess is 6 years. So he'd be about 35. Like I think he could still hit with some power for the next 5, 6 years. So okay with that. Bregman, I mean, leader, clutch, super athletic, and play all around the diamond. Like I like the guy a lot. It would just be really hard to have two third basemen making crazy amount of money, but like, Anthony Rendon's a waste of space right now. So you got to do something to make the Angels better. So if Bregman's the guy, that's fine as well. Nick Pivetta would be an absolute joke for me. I don't see him helping the Angels. I think the Angels would be blocking Reed Detmers at that point or trading Tyler Anderson, um, which I don't see them trading Tyler Anderson. So that kind of defeats the point of that. I think it would mostly be a blocking of Reed Detmers, and Reed Detmers can throw up the same numbers, if not better, than Nick Pivetta. Especially when Reed Detmers is on, he would be better than Nick Pivetta. So that's a big, big no for me. Anthony Santander is a big red flag for me as well. Um, his numbers kind of just popped off this last year. He's kind of been like a 25, 28 homer guy. I think he hit 30 one time, and then all of a sudden he hits 44 this year. Anytime that a guy just has one off year, it kind of reminds me of Anthony Rendon. Rendon's power numbers jumped crazy his last year before free agency. So I would try to stay away from those two guys because I just don't see them being good enough to waste a second round pick on.
Nate,
Jared. Um, yeah,
sorry.
I yeah, I'm Jared. Yeah, no,
You went to Jared.
I'm actually even a little more stingy than Nate is on this one, which is might come to a surprise to a lot of people. But there's only one guy on this list that makes the Angels better this year and beyond, and that's Alex Bregman. I don't think that Pete Alonso makes the Angels better. Let me restate that. I don't think that Pete Alonso makes the Angels better in the future. I think that they stay very similar. I think Bregman has a chance to make the Angels better from 2026 and beyond. I don't think Anthony Santander does, and I don't think Nick Pivetta does. Nick Pivetta reminds me a lot of Tyler Anderson when he got QO'd there. So for me, a lot more stingy on that. Remember, guys, I'm a prospect fiend. I like the Angels. I like the farm system. I like that side of stuff. So I do not want to give up a draft pick. I don't want to give up money. I don't want to give up anything other unless it's for Alex Bregman. So that's where I stand there. One thing I'll say this, I learned this today. The Angels do get another third round pick this year, by the way.
Yeah, they
Um,
have 21 picks this year.
yeah, yes, they get the Prager pick back. So I guess it makes it a little bit better. And if you're gonna
Not
sign
really.
somebody if you're gonna sign somebody that has a QO, this is gonna probably kind of be the year to do it because you do have a lot of money to spend. You got the second overall pick, which can be which can be $10 million. And you have a second round pick and you have two third round picks. So you're gonna have a lot of money to spend in the draft. Um, Another side of me also says you need to worry about the major league level as well. You can't worry about the minor league level either. So if they do sign somebody that has a QO offer, better make sure that he does help the team in 2025, 26, 27, 28, however long he's with the Angels. And it's not a Noah Syndergaard type of deal where you get a 1 year deal out of him and you lose a draft pick. So yeah, as long as he makes them better, I'm totally fine with that. I'm not in on Pete as much either because there's a certain first baseman that has a certain last name associated with the Angels, and that's a free agent next year. That makes a lot of sense. That we'll see how where that side of stuff goes. So plus the Angels already have a first baseman as well. So
But that first baseman's going to cost 350, 400 minimum, and
He's worth every
Pete will
dollar of
not
it.
cost Pete will not cost that. And Pete
Well,
actually could put up similar numbers to Vlad, which
we'll
not
talk about
crazy.
Vlad next offseason.
well, Vlad will hit for better average.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting you brought that up because I've always wondered that. Is there a way to, maybe draw him in? And last time I was on the show, I really went hardcore on I'm a Pete Alonso guy. I still am, but and I think he does make the team better than Bregman does. Bregman's been injured for the last 2 years. He's hitting that magical 30-year-old plateau, turning 31 coming up this year. And, we've seen guys get to 30, 31 in this organization and crash and burn. And I don't feel like seeing that again, quite frankly. So, yeah, maybe it's just past history getting me a little squeamish on it. But if we're going to be talking about qualifying options, I still see Pete Alonso that, but I would trade all of that. And I would pay more money if you can get Vlad. But will Vlad come here? That's the question. So he's worth every qualifying offer too, by the way. So I mean that's there we go. Um, Other news. Yes, Jared.
I got nothing. I was
You
just
had your
saying
hand
that.
up like
I'll talk
calling
about
me.
Vlad next year because I mean we'll talk about him next year.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you got brought up. I couldn't help it, man. I think that's
Huh?
like low hanging fruit for me to address. I'm a big Vlad fan.
I like stirring the pot.
Angels are linked to Jerickson Profar, Kyle Finnegan, Jorge Polanco. Of those three, who is the best fit for the Angels right now? Going to Jared first.
Who's the first name you said? I got Kyle Finnegan and Jorge
Jerickson
Polanco.
Profar.
Profar,
Ooh,
Kyle Finnegan, Jorge Polanco. Different
Best
players,
fit.
different roles.
Yeah, best fit is probably Jerickson Profar because he can play center field. Um, I mean, he can play center field, mate. Um, so
sure.
I'm with that.
Luis Rengifo can play shortstop.
Just because of that. Cal Finnegan's number two there because he's a reliever and the Angels need a reliever. And Jorge Polanco is number three there just because he plays all over the infield. It's totally fine. But you don't know what he's going to get. I think he was a 230 hitter last year, 220 hitter, something like that last year in Seattle. So you just kind of
Incredibly injury prone.
yeah, you just kind of don't know what you're going to get there. I'll take Profar. I think he's going to cost a pretty penny. Definitely more than he would have last year. I would have loved to see the Angels got him last year, and then all of a sudden he's an all-star. Um, so yeah, I if I'm going to take one of those guys, it's probably going to be Profar, just because he can play center field. Is it good? Sure, I don't know, but he can play center field. And the Angels need somebody who can play center field along with other positions too. I mean, he can play the infield as well. We know he can hit a little bit. Kyle Finnegan's a nice piece in the back of the bullpen for the Angels. Is he a closer? Question mark. But I mean, he's a nice back of the end bullpen. So for now, I'm going to go Profar.
Nate.
Just for fun, Profar's played 20 games in center field in his entire career. I believe he has the yips at second base as well, so he is no longer an infielder. That's why they moved him to left field permanently. So I'm out on Profar. I think Profar had a career first half and then kind of died off towards the end. He's going to cost, I'm going to guess 17 million's my number, 15 to 17, which is a lot for a guy. And he's a corner outfielder, which the Angels don't need. We have way too many corner outfielders. We need a true center fielder, a guy who can play center field. If it's going to be Mickey Moniak, that's fine, but whatever. Finnegan makes sense. I don't know what the price tag would be. If it's closer to like a Matt Moore hit the first time around, like that's awesome. If it's a little over, 10 or 11 closer to Stevenson, I think that's way too much for him. I still like Jorge Polanco. I think he makes a lot of sense because he can play second. He can play third. He should not play short. He could stand over there, but he can't play short.
Angels already have enough of those guys. Why do you need another guy?
Because we need a second baseman. We need a guy who could play second or third base right now, which he can do both.
Pencil Christian Moore in at second base.
We cannot pencil Christian Moore in at second base. We don't even know if he can hit the major league level. And I know everyone wants to see Christian Moore, but like let's let the kid develop a little bit. Let's let him prove that he can be an everyday guy. Because right now, if Christian Moore's on this team, they still need another infielder. Like they would still need one more infielder because Zach Neto will not start the year on the team. So they need another guy. I think Polanco makes sense. He's got some juice. The numbers actually, like, I know everyone loves to harp on his numbers last year because he was in Seattle, but the numbers actually weren't that bad. A lot of his numbers were very similar to what they've been in the past with Minnesota. One of the big numbers that was down was his BABIP, which is actually something that will come back to the mean. Like there's extremes with BABIP, and I think he was a way extreme on the poor side of that last year, and he's been on the way extreme with Minnesota. But I think he'll find his way towards that middle where it's like, hey, he's not a 215 hitter, but he's not a 280 hitter either. Like if he hits in that 265, he has the juice to hit 15, maybe 20, especially with the short fence in right field. And he's got some position versatility. So I don't know. I think he makes a lot of sense for the Angels. And I think coming off a down year, he will cost relatively less than most people.
You almost sold me on them, on Polanco. You almost did. There's one thing you're right. We do need our infielder. And if not him, who? Him being Polanco. But I've seen enough Kyle Finnegan over the years. If I'm choosing between these three, I'm taking Finnegan if the price is right. He's got closer experience. He's got setup man experience. He's been in some tough situations. I'm going to go with Kyle Finnegan there. But you made Polanco very tempting. You're right. Like most years when he's healthy, he hits, and he'll hit in clutch situations too. So there you go. All right. So there's Lars Nootbaar and Brendan Donovan. Of these two, Jared, who do you pick?
Lars Nootbaar plays center field. See the theme there. I'd like the Angels to get another center fielder and see Mike Trout play maximum of 40 games in center field. So yeah, Nootbaar can play center field. The big question mark there is what he's going to cost coming from St. Louis. Same thing with Donovan. Another guy you just kind of don't know what he's going to cost. I think Nootbaar's got 3-4 years left on his rookie contract, so there's not a lot of money there. And if the Angels are willing to pay that price, but somebody that helps you from 2025. 2026, 2027, 2028. So I'm all for it. He helps you in that window. Even if he does end up being a fourth outfielder down the road, at least next year you have somebody that can play center field for 140, 120 games, whatever you feel like it is. And I think he's coming off a down year last year. I could totally be wrong, but I feel like he came off a little bit of a down year last year. But he is Taylor Ward in center field, which is nice. So you can use plenty of Taylor Wards out there, someone who's going to be a 110, 120 WRC plus guy. That's what the Angels have been missing a lot in the past is that guy who's going to be, not an absolute superstar, but somebody who's going to be above competent, above a 100 WRC plus guy who's going to be a decent defender. And, the Angels can keep stacking those types of guys up, the Jorge Solers, Taylor Wards, Lars Nootbaar type guys. They'll be just fine, so they'll need to hit on maybe get a superstar or two, but yeah, I'm there with Nootbaar. It's just going to depend on what it's going to cost.
Nate.
Yeah, absolutely love Lars. Former teammate of mine. Love the guy. Super, super nice kid. Um, he makes a lot of sense. He could play center field. If the Angels draft Jace Laviolette and say he's the center fielder of the future, like Lars is a good enough athlete to move to a corner. The Angels would still probably need a corner outfielder at that point too. And I mean, we've seen what he was able to do in the World Baseball Classic for Japan. He was excellent there. We've seen him have good years with St. Louis. His last 2 years, his WRC plus has been 114, 118. The year before that was 123. He's been a 1.5 to 3.0 WAR guy, so he's been like definitely worth it. But I think the biggest question mark is like how much is he going to cost? Because St. Louis, like, yes, they want to trim money, but they also would like to stay competitive somehow. And because he is so cheap, will they be willing to trade him? Maybe if it gets Arenado off the books, like that's a possibility. But I think it's going to be really tough to sell St. Louis on trading Nootbaar. But I really think that he would make a lot of sense.
All right. One last thing. International signing period next week. What does this mean for Ryoki Sasaki and the Angels? Nate, staying with you.
Yeah, well, next week then we'll start to see some of the numbers come out for some of the teams. So we'll see like, hey, who actually has money to go get Sasaki. Um, Angels, we'll see. Um, I think they, I think they shocked a lot of people when Shohei Ohtani signed with the Angels. I think a lot of people are sitting here going, "There's no shot Shohei Ohtani signs with the Angels," and then all of a sudden, breaking news: Shohei Ohtani's with the Angels. Do I think that's going to happen with Sasaki? No, I think he's a San Diego Padre. I think he makes the most sense there. He's a big Darvish guy. He can be kind of a superstar in San Diego for the pitching staff, and they're probably losing Dylan Cease. I don't know. There's just a lot of things that make sense for San Diego. So the Angels, Jared's going to tell you a lot about the guys that they're going to sign in international free agency. He's going to tell you, he really likes a couple of these kids, and we'll see in 5-6 years if they're any good. But yeah, I think Sasaki will. You'll probably hear a lot more Sasaki news probably in the next 10 days or so.
Jared.
Yeah, I think if the Angels start making some international money trades, then we will know. But that's talking about the international players. That's for another podcast to come. Definitely will talk about all the international signings and the values and things like that come along with it. I'll just throw this tidbit in there. I know there's a mystery team, quote unquote mystery team. A lot of teams have had meetings with Sasaki. I'm not going to say that it hasn't been the Angels. So we'll kind of see we'll kind of see what happens from now on. Because there's always a mystery team, and maybe it's the Angels. I'm not going to say it's not.
But you're not gonna say it is.
Nah, I'm not.
Come
I'm
on.
not. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say it's not the Angels that are the mystery team in this for sure. The
You're
Angels.
just
Not gonna.
dropping
I'm
breadcrumbs. Okay.
not gonna not say they haven't met with. I don't know. I mean,
All right, guys.
we'll just let it
Follow,
be. We'll just let it be.
follow us on X at Jared_Tims, Nate Green 34. Am I off today, guys? Nate Green 34. DC Paul. And the at Talking Halos handle. Any more podcasts can be found. Have a great one. We're out of here.